Hello and welcome to Asking for a Trend. I'm Josh Lipton. For the next half hour, we are breaking down the trends of today that'll move stocks tomorrow. There's a lot to keep track of, so we're focusing on what you need to know to get ahead of the curve. Here are some of the trends we're going to be diving into. The takeaways from the market action on Wednesday, we're breaking down the gains, and the Dow and the S&P 500 are heading for their best win streak in months. Plus, a major milestone for drone delivery company Zipline. It secured $150 million from the U.S. State Department to expand its operations across Africa. Zipline's CEO joins me. That's straight ahead. And the holiday shopping season kicking into high gear now. Marketing platform Klaviyo is on the front lines of what consumers are buying, and the company's CEO is coming up laying out the trends they are already seeing. Well, American robotics company Zipline lands a deal with the U.S. State Department, receiving up to $150 million to expand its AI and robotics infrastructure. The expansion will enable African governments to provide 24/7 delivery of essential medical supplies. Joining us now to discuss this and more, we have Zipline co-founder and CEO Keller Clifton. Keller, it's great to see you. So let's just start on this news, Keller, the State Department deal. Walk me through how this came about and what it means for the company.
Yeah, I mean, today Zipline is the largest commercial autonomous system on Earth. We serve about 5,000 hospitals and health facilities using autonomous aircraft, or basically doing drone delivery. And we deliver blood transfusions, cancer products, infusions, transfusions, wide variety of medical products. The company saves about 17,000 lives a year, and we've been growing over the last 10 years. Interestingly, I think this is kind of a big moment where the U.S. and where the new administration are really shifting the strategy for how the United States engages in the world. We are going from a world where we were paying, cost plus government contractors to do work in a lot of these countries in a way that often kind of engendered dependence, toward a world of like commercial diplomacy. This $150 million contract with the State Department comes with $400 million of revenue commitments from the African governments themselves. So the whole idea here is trade, not aid. We're putting the African governments in charge, and we're using U.S. AI and robotics infrastructure to help these allies save lives and save money. And of course, the best part of this is that it also makes sure that the U.S. wins. It's going to enable U.S. technology and manufacturing leadership for the decade to come.
Keller, Zipline has now logged 1.8 million autonomous deliveries with zero safety incidents. Can you just describe the drones a little bit more? I'm curious. So how big are they, Keller? How fast do they go? How much weight can they carry?
Yeah, I mean, Zipline, as a company, designs every single part of these aircraft from scratch. We design the flight computer, the flight control algorithms, all of the structural subcomponents of the aircraft. The vehicle has about a 9-foot wingspan. It weighs about 60 pounds. We deliver anywhere from 5 to 8 pounds of payload at a time. The aircraft that you can see here, what we call Platform 1, what we use for our rural deliveries, can actually fly like 300 miles on a single battery charge, assuming no weather in both directions. So these systems are actually way more performant than people think. I mean, one cool statistic, because people still think of this as like, oh, it's sci-fi, it must be a prototype. We have individual aircraft that have flown more than 1 million commercial autonomous miles. So, I don't have a car that has done that many miles. And so I think what people don't realize is this technology is already as reliable and as cost effective as cars, if not more.
How big is the U.S. business now, Keller? How big is it? How fast is it growing?
Yeah, I mean, funny you should ask. So we actually really launched commercially in the US only in January of this year. And the service, we've actually been growing the number of deliveries we do week over week by about 15%. 15% every week is a really crazy growth rate. It means, we're nearly doubling every 6 or 7 weeks or so. In fact, I was just talking to the team. We just hit a new all-time record this morning. We did 200 commercial deliveries between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. And that's actually just in the US. It's about double that if you look globally. So, a couple other crazy statistics. I mean, right now our average customer is ordering 3 to 8 times per month, which is more than people use Amazon Prime. The service has a net promoter score of 95. Our average delivery time from when you open the Zipline app order from either Walmart or Chipotle or any of the other 17 restaurant brands that we're serving to when you have the thing delivered to your home is about 16 minutes. And some deliveries happen in under 10 minutes. So it's like magically fast for customers. And we're seeing that people significantly change their buying behavior when they can get things delivered to their home that quickly.
You note here, Keller, autonomous logistics reaches less than 1% of the global population today. So I'm curious what you think the adoption curve looks like from here, Keller, 5 years out, 10 years out?
I think right now, what we observe is that, obviously we're kind of launching metro by metro. You have to build this infrastructure in order for it to serve neighborhoods and cities. So Zipline made the decision to really invest all of our efforts this year in Dallas. And so if you're in Dallas, Fort Worth, likely you're already using Zipline. If you're not, then this technology still seems totally science fiction and sort of like impossible to people. I think it's not dissimilar, by the way, to how autonomous cars like Waymo or Robotaxi feel, depending on whether they're in your city. What we do observe is that when we launch in a city, the growth rate is incredibly fast. We from some of the partners that we will integrate with, we're often bigger than their own traditional delivery business within 2 or 3 days. We're doing hundreds of deliveries a day from each major commercial partner, whether that's a Walmart or a restaurant. And one last crazy statistic. Some of these neighborhoods and cities that we've launched in, I was looking at the statistics for a city we launched a couple months ago. 46% of addresses within range are ordering from Zipline. So it's like, I think most people think of startups as achieving maybe 1% or 2% market penetration. We have nearly a majority, 50% of homes are using the service. I think it's a testament to how much people prefer a logistics solution that is 10 times as fast and less expensive, and maybe most importantly, like a better product experience and a safer experience.
Keller, final question. I'm just curious to get your thoughts on the regulatory environment here in the U.S. Keller, in your opinion, what's working, what's not, what's changed, if anything, since Trump took office?
I think that the U.S. government actually deserves a lot of credit, both this administration and the last, for the speed at which the FAA has been integrating this new technology and making sure that the U.S. doesn't fall behind in this core new area of technological innovation. So, Zipline about 1.5 years ago became the first company in U.S. history to be awarded full beyond visual line of sight permission to fly in all 50 states. And then we've gotten additional kind of incremental exceptions and certifications with the FAA over the last year. So really, the FAA has been an amazing partner, and regulation is really, it's no longer a constraint on the growth of this industry. But I think mainly that comes from the fact that Zipline flew 125 million commercial autonomous miles with 0 safety incidents. That's a hard thing to do. It honestly requires, in some cases, for us to be more conservative than the regulator who is overseeing us. We take safety and testing and validation incredibly seriously. And the thing that frankly worries us the most is, like, there are other players in the industry who aren't doing that. And we got to make sure that, I guess that's all I'll say. We think safety is incredibly important. There's no way that you can provide an amazing experience to customers and communities if you're not safe for the communities that you're flying in.
Keller, great to have you on the show today. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh.
Stick around. Much more As for a Trend still to come. Wall Street logs in 4 straight days of gains as investors remain optimistic on an interest rate cut next month. Jared Blikre joined me now with the trading day takeaways. Jared.
That's right. We got 4 days of FOMO. If you think about it, that would make a great holiday song, the 4 days of FOMO.
Catchy.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at the numbers here. We'll start out with the Dow. This was the least, this is actually the sector action. We'll start here. Consumer discretionary up 6%. Tesla, a big part of that. Materials, healthcare, tech. Tech is number 4, and this is really indicative of what we're seeing. A lot of rotation recently. It's not all about the AI trade. Healthcare, which was actually negative on Wednesday, up in third place here, up almost, 4.5%. Let's take a look at how the Dow did over these 4 days. 3.66%, Nasdaq 5%, S&P 500 4%. But it gets really interesting with the Russell 2000, almost 8% there. We haven't seen 4 days of 1% plus gains since July of 2024. Russell 2000 just really coming alive here. And I showed a 5-year chart of the Russell a couple days ago. Let me just show you. We are right back here. Is the Russell ever going to break out? I think we got a decent chance this time, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Let's get back here. I got a couple more heat maps on this particular topic. So let's go to my leaders, and you can see everything in the green. That's the first thing I'm noticing. Then in the upper left, we got home builders up 10%, innovation, that's the ARK Innovation Fund, disruption 9%, retail. XRT has not had a 4-day streak like this in a long time, I believe years. Chip stocks, micro caps, then biotech, small caps, and IPO. So really just a broad swath of the speculative universe. And now, here's my last board. Nasdaq 100. What do you notice here? NVIDIA didn't even participate. So that just goes to show you it's not all about the AI trade. Now, had NVIDIA done really, really poorly on its last earnings call, I don't think we'd be in the same situation, but just goes to show you, you don't have to have the leaders, in quotes, participating to the upside all of the time.
Now, what about the pros, my friend? They still hedging their bets? We have line of sight there?
Let's take a look at the options market, and that would be volatility as priced by the VIX, or as calculated through the VIX, and we're going to take a look at that. We'll take a look at the VIX first, and then we'll get the bond market VIX. So here we go. Down to 17, that's a really good space to be in. By the way, this is another 5-year chart. Here is a post-Liberation Day sell-off, and you can see how that dwarfs everything else and kind of puts things in perspective. But let me bring this down to 3 months. And we had 2 volatility scares recently in middle of October, and then just a week or 2 ago in November. But this is really nice because this is what you want to see and what's supposed to happen historically into the end of the year, where volatility just trends down into the very final days where you have that nice Santa Claus rally. So things are kind of going, according to script here. Here's the ICE B of A move index. That's also down nicely. That means that bond yields, which have been sinking, but this is really just gauging volatility. Bond yields are basically a tailwind for markets. If this thing starts spiking up, that is sometimes even a bigger headwind than a really spiking VIX. So that's on the volatility front. Looks like we're doing pretty good there.
How about the commodities? Want to do a check?
Yeah, let's do that too, because the metals today, they've been perking up. So let's take a look at the futures complex. Not just gold, not just silver, but even copper participating today. Just give me a second while I bring up our futures heat map. And this is going to be over 4 days. Let's bring that down to 1. And then in the upper left, second there, not orange juice, that's OJ equals up, but silver, SI, that was up 4%. Then we have, what's my next one? We got to go to copper on the second line there. That's up 2.28%. Gold also nicely rising here. And let me just bring up this silver chart for a second so I can show you what I mean. Silver has been consolidating ever since it reached its fresh record highs here. This was another record high back in October, and now it just looks like it's threatening to break out once again. And on the longer term chart, this is going to be year to date. Let me put some lines back on there. All this is a nice little consolidation box. So I would not be surprised to see silver kind of rocketing higher here, based on the caveat that you want the dollar to cooperate. The dollar has been going down, and maybe we got a little bit of time for that at the end. But gold and silver, copper, everything's kind of moving to the upside over the last
I did want to ask you what's on your radar.
Yeah. So I will be watching Bitcoin tomorrow. I will be watching Yahoo Finance on Friday. Jared Blikre will be filling in for you on Friday. And let's take a look at the dollar here, because I think I outlined my thesis the other day. Here's a year-to-date chart. Now, the dollar has basically been putting in this rounded bottom over the last several months. And that just looks like a lot of sideways action. but it's poised now to kind of spike higher. And I think if it does that, it's going to catch a lot of Wall Street off sides. Wall Street is not positioned for it. Short dollar has been one of the big trades of the year. And if that happens, then that's going to put a kibosh not only on the gold trade, the silver trade potentially, but I think really crypto. And crypto is where we're going to see that dollar strength affect things the most.
All right, thank you, buddy.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Stick around. Much more Ask for a Trend still to come. Many companies are already offering Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals to shoppers at a time when consumer confidence is falling. One company that helps connect businesses with consumers is Klaviyo. Company's CEO Andrew Bialecki joined Market Catalyst to discuss the health of the consumer and more.
We serve over 180,000 businesses, household names like Mattel, Glossier, Away, Liquid Death. And we offer them a CRM to connect with their customers. So both marketing, proactive messaging, and also customer service. So when somebody comes and has a question, maybe is looking for holiday advice, we offer that up too. We're seeing three big trends from consumers so far. The first is the holiday season is already well underway. Shoppers are shopping early. We think more than half of shoppers are actually planning to buy before even Thanksgiving. So in some sense, those Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales are already going. The second is that a trend we've seen over the last couple of years is an increasing number of consumers are going back to businesses they already know when it comes to the holiday season. And we're seeing that actually up a lot this year. In November, we're seeing repeat purchases up 17% relative to last year. That's actually ahead of where new buyers are. So a lot less of us we're going back to the things we know versus like trying out new products or new companies. And then finally, the experience of shopping, people expect more. We're seeing over 35% more product views from consumers before buying. So they're browsing longer, they're checking out those features and those specs before they make their decisions.
And Andrew, I'm curious how your clients are communicating with people. I mean, we've been having a lot of holiday shopping conversations here on Yahoo Finance, and I keep hearing, one of the themes I keep hearing over and over again is that people are going to be using generative AI to help in their shopping journeys, whether it's asking for advice, whether it's saying like, here's my budget, tell me, what I should be getting. And so are you helping brands sort of meet them there, or, how is that all sort of playing out?
Yeah, I'll give you two great examples from our customers. The first is Beyond Yoga. They're an amazing athletic apparel company. They're using a customer agent technology that we provide that's on their website. So when you're going and shopping for maybe that yoga lover practitioner in your house, and you need to find that perfect gift, that customer agent is able to have a conversation with you about their product catalog, maybe what your budget is, and help you find that product. So I think some of the things that as consumers we've seen with, say ChatGPT, with Gemini, that same technology is now coming to every single brand. The analogy we make is it's a bit like the 90s where, Amazon came about and then all of a sudden everybody needed a website. I think now everybody needs their own customer agent to help customers, guide them in the buying process. And then businesses are taking the data that they already have about customers and they're building that into marketing using AI. So another one of our customers, ButcherBox, I think they're shipping something like 200,000 turkeys, to families across the U.S. This Thanksgiving. They've had these customers that they've been learning about throughout the year, and they're learning all about their preferences, what cuts of meat beyond, just turkeys or hams for the holiday they like. And they're building that into the messaging, they're sending over the holiday season, because a lot of people will buy for the first time, through ButcherBox, and then if they want to get them into, to be a recurring customer, they're using that to tailor that experience. So AI is very plentiful in like the marketing and service experiences that folks are offering.
It's in those services, but I also wonder, how concerned you are about your business that people are just going to go straight to ChatGPT and they're not going to need that sort of liaison, if you will, between the brand and the customer that you guys provide.
Yeah, no, what we're seeing is that, similar to what I mentioned, is AI is becoming something that, consumers are using in their everyday lives to start search and find businesses. And so we're actually seeing a lot of our customers are getting increasing demand for their products. They're finding more consumers that then they'll, message and build experience around through Klaviyo from ChatGPT and other, AI products. But then really those businesses understand the experience that consumers expect is going up. I think the days of retailers just offering products and they sort of sit on the shelves and you as a consumer have to figure out what you want, those days are coming to an end. And now people expect to be guided, and that's happening through AI. And so they're turning to companies like Klaviyo to deliver that across all of the different customer touch points, marketing, service, their website, and even in some like physical retail stores.
And how are you thinking about also helping customers with the website in a way that AI finds the information that it needs, right? Do companies need to redesign their websites to sort of cater to that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, there's two things that we're doing that I think are very interesting. So some of the companies that I mentioned, one, our customer agent for companies like Beyond Yoga, it's just on your website. Actually, we're sort of making this idea of a customer agent or service more plentiful. So instead of having it hidden behind a 1-800 number, you have to wait on hold, or it's sort of hard to find. Like actually, you can put customer agents out front, and because they're so cost effective to serve and they help improve the customer experience so much, people want to get them in front of customers, give people an alternative way to buy. And the second part is we have a product called Customer Hub that you can imagine when you're browsing a lot of retail sites, oftentimes they don't know who you are. With our Customer Hub product, you can, log in and share some of your preferences with that brand, or maybe that brand already knows you. You can remind them who you are. And then it completely tailors the experience to you. So it'll show product recommendations that we've computed based on browsing activity, past purchases. So AI is really starting to get woven into the entire customer experience from the site, across all of the different, services and touch points.
That's a wrap for Asking for a Trend. We're taking a break for the next couple of days as we celebrate Thanksgiving, but be sure to come back on Monday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern for all of the latest market-moving stories affecting your wallet.